Okay, so today we're going to take a deep dive into the death of Michael Jackson.
Huge event.
Huge global event.
Yeah.
June 25, 2009.
Yeah. And a fascinating one, I think.
Absolutely. And our primary source for this is going to be the Wikipedia page detailing the events and the investigation, the public reaction, just a ton of information there.
Oh, yeah. A ton of information.
And so our goal here for you listening is to really cut through all that noise.
Right.
Understand the timeline, what happened, what were the findings, and then what was the impact of this event, which was obviously
It's huge, a global phenomenon.
So June 25, 2009 starts at his home on North Carrollwood Drive in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles.
Right.
And he's pronounced dead later at 2:26 p.m. Pacific time at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center.
Right.
But it's that timeline, the sequence of events leading up to that, that's really important here. So it all starts with his personal physician, Conrad Murray, who finds Jackson not breathing with a weak pulse. And Murray's account is that he administers CPR, but without success. And then security, I guess, security called 911 at 12:21 p.m. And at this time, of course, as you know, this is when Michael Jackson is on the verge of this huge comeback tour. This is it. The London concerts were scheduled to begin the following month.
It's all set to go.
So yeah, he's actively involved in rehearsals for this.
Oh yeah, huge rehearsals.
And the Wikipedia article talks about his last rehearsal on June 24th. The day before. At the Staples Center. And he arrived around 6:30 p.m. And the rehearsal itself runs from 9 p.m. past midnight.
A late one.
Past midnight. And it's interesting because all the reports are that he's really energetic at this rehearsal.
Totally into it.
And he even makes this sort of joke about having laryngitis, but that he's feeling good.
He's ready to go.
And then he returns home around 12:30 a.m. on the 25th. Goes to bed about an hour later. But this is an important point. Jackson has a well-documented history of struggling with insomnia and using medications to aid his sleep.
Of course.
And so Conrad Murray, his physician, is involved in this. And administers various drugs. Diazepam, lorazepam, midazolam.
All of those,
And what's really noteworthy here is that despite receiving these sedatives, Jackson's still struggling to sleep.
Oh, wow.
And he repeatedly requests from Murray this milk, which was his term for propofol, which is a very powerful
anesthetic.
Typically used in surgery. And he had used this in the past as a sleep aid. And so at 10:40 a.m., after repeated requests for this, Murray finally administers 25 milligrams of propofol diluted with lidocaine. And according to Murray's account, Jackson falls asleep. Murray leaves the bedside for 2 minutes, by his account. And then he returns and finds Jackson not breathing with a weak pulse. And so this is where, a lot of questions start to arise. So Murray stated that he attempted to revive Jackson for about 10 minutes using CPR. He even administered flumazenol, which counteracts the sedatives. And then finally, he calls for emergency services. But a lot of controversy around this because his CPR technique was widely questioned.
I mean, using one hand?
He was reportedly using just one hand and performing it on a bed, which really deviates from standard effective CPR. So why would a trained physician in that situation resort to that?
You'd think he'd know better.
And there's also the delay in the 911 call, which is also very concerning. I mean, it's almost an hour and a half between him finding Jackson unresponsive and making that 911 call at 12:21 p.m. And the explanations given, he said he didn't have a landline. He didn't know the exact address.
Oh, come on.
These are hard to believe.
A little hard to believe.
It's such an urgent situation.
With somebody's life on the line, you figure you could find a way to
figure it out.
To get in touch with emergency services. Wow.
And then adding to that is this hour after finding him not breathing, Murray makes several private calls on his cell phone.
Oh, wow.
Without contacting law enforcement.
Well, what's emergency services?
On that time.
What were those calls about? What was the priority there?
Exactly.
So paramedics arrive at 12:26 p.m.
Okay.
And they find him not breathing with no pulse.
Okay.
They start CPR.
Yeah.
Right there in the resident.
Wow. For 42 minutes.
Wow.
And there were even conflicting reports.
Really?
About whether he even had a pulse when he was moved to the ambulance.
Oh.
One fire department official stated that they found him in full cardiac arrest.
Right.
And his condition never changed during transport to the hospital.
Right.
So he arrives at the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center at 1:14 p.m.
Okay.
And after over an hour attempts to resuscitate him, they're unsuccessful.
Right.
He's pronounced dead at 2:26 p.m.
Wow.
And then what follows, obviously, is the investigation, the autopsy.
Right.
So his body's taken to the Los Angeles County coroner's offices for a 3-hour autopsy the next day.
Wow.
On June 26th.
Right.
And the Jackson family also arranged a private independent autopsy.
Right.
And so initially the findings were that there was no trauma, no signs of foul play.
Right.
But then the Los Angeles County coroner announces on August 28, 2009, that they have classified his death as a homicide.
Okay.
And the cause of death, acute propofol intoxication.
Okay.
And this was exacerbated by lorazepam.
Okay.
And then, less significantly, midazolam, diazepam, lidocaine, and ephedrine.
Okay, so a whole cocktail.
Yeah, whole cocktail of drugs.
If stuff.
And the full toxicology report was kept private.
Interesting.
At the request of law enforcement and the district attorney.
Right.
So that's interesting. But it's also worth noting that the autopsy report said that otherwise Jackson was in reasonably good health for 50 years old.
Right.
They said he had a strong heart.
Okay.
Chronically inflamed lungs. But that wasn't a contributing factor.
Okay.
Normal, major organs.
Wow.
Minimal atherosclerosis, and his weight was within an acceptable range.
Okay. So it was really
the
drugs that did him in.
Yeah.
So then the LAPD and the DEA are both investigating.
Yeah, of course.
And the DEA was really focused
on this prescription drug aspect.
Yeah.
And there was some criticism about the LAPD about not securing the home properly and, possibly breaking the chain of custody by letting family members in before all the evidence was collected.
Right.
And then in response to all this, the California Attorney General, Jerry Brown, announces a statewide database to track medical doctors and prescriptions.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So the LAPD did subpoena medical records from a number of doctors.
Right.
But initially, they didn't file homicide charges against any of them except Murray at a later stage.
Right.
So there was this former video producer of Jackson's who claims that he used propofol, alprazolam, sertraline, omeprazole, hydrocodone, paroxetine, carisoprodol, hydromorphone.
Oh, wow. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
So where was he getting all of this?
Right. And so a search of his home did actually reveal a lot of these drugs, including propofol. And some of it was in containers with fraudulent labels or no labels at all.
Wow.
Which is really scary.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting.
And there's this 2004 police document that mentions him taking up to 40 alprazolam pills a night.
Oh, my goodness.
But this wasn't detected in his bloodstream at the time of his death.
Interesting.
And it's also worth noting that a friend of Jackson's actually said that he was scared of drugs.
Oh, really?
So
conflicting.
Yeah, so conflicting accounts, were these his drugs?
Right. Was he taking them?
Was he being given them by a doctor?
Yeah, was he procuring them himself?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we also have a Tokyo-based physician who treated Jackson.
Yeah.
And this doctor had concerns about his drug use.
Yeah.
Because Jackson requested stimulants, which the doctor refused to give him.
Good for them.
Yeah. And the doctor also wondered if Jackson was using steroids or skin lightening medications excessively, which might have contributed to some of his symptoms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his sister, Janet Jackson, even claims that the family had tried to stage an intervention in early 2007.
Yeah.
But they were prevented from seeing him by security.
Oh, wow.
So that's interesting, too.
So, yeah, clearly there were concerns within the family.
Right.
Yeah.
But other family members actually disputed this account of the intervention.
Yeah.
So, again, conflicting accounts.
Yeah.
So propofol really emerges as the main thing that investigators are concerned about.
Yeah.
This very potent anesthetic.
Right.
Called milk of amnesia sometimes.
Yeah.
And it can cause cardiac arrest.
Right.
And they found several bottles of this.
Wow.
In Jackson's home.
Okay.
And then this nurse practitioner who worked with him, Sherilyn Lee, recounts this time in May when Jackson asked her for propofol to help him sleep, and she refused.
Good for her.
Yeah, she refused.
Yeah.
And he apparently told her that he'd used it safely before, under supervision.
Right.
Then she gets this call on June 21st about him being ill.
Okay.
And based on the symptoms that she overhears,
yeah,
she thinks he's using propofol.
Yeah.
And then Arnold Klein, who was his dermatologist, made this statement saying that Jackson actually had used propofol during the History World Tour in the 90s.
Okay.
And an anesthesiologist would give it to him to sedate him at night.
Wow.
And then bring him out of it in the morning.
So clearly he has a history with this.
Yeah, a long history.
Yeah.
So the DEA is really focusing on the doctors.
Yeah, makes sense.
Who are prescribing all these drugs.
Yeah.
You know, was there a real doctor-patient relationship?
Right.
Was there a diagnosis that justified it?
Right.
And at least 9 doctors were being investigated.
Yeah.
And they were going to question like 30 medical professionals total, including Arnold Klein.
Right.
And Klein admits that he occasionally gave him pethidine.
Okay.
But nothing stronger.
Right.
And he said he turned over his medical records and cooperated.
Okay.
So then, of course, there's Conrad Murray, the cardiologist, who worked out of the Armstrong Clinic in Houston.
Okay.
And that clinic was actually raided in July 2009.
Oh, really?
So he became Jackson's personal physician in May 2009 as part of this whole agreement with AEG, the promoters, for the London concerts.
Right.
And AEG says that Jackson requested Murray.
Yeah.
But Jackson never actually signed the contract.
Interesting.
For Murray's services.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And through his attorney, Murray states that he didn't prescribe or administer pethidine or oxycodone.
Right.
But he doesn't say what he did give.
Yeah. He's leaving some stuff out.
Yeah, he's not telling the full story.
Yeah.
And the LAPD initially says there's no red flags with him.
Okay.
But then they tow his car as evidence.
Oh, wow.
On June 26th.
Okay.
And Jesse Jackson, who was a longtime friend of the family, expresses concern about Murray's role.
Right.
Especially the fact that he left the scene before the authorities arrived.
Yeah.
And so as the investigation goes on, law enforcement gets more and more suspicious of Murray.
Yeah.
They search his medical office.
Right.
A storage unit in Houston.
Oh, okay.
And then later they search his home and office in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And a pharmacy in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
And we also find out that Jackson was paying him $150,000 a month.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then in February 2010,
right,
he's charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Okay.
He pleads not guilty.
Right.
And he's released on bail.
Right.
And the California Medical Board says, okay, you can't administer heavy sedatives to any patients.
Right.
Then there's the preliminary hearing in January 2011.
Yeah.
And the judge rules that there's enough evidence for him to stand trial.
Okay.
So his medical license in California is suspended.
Right.
The trial begins in September 2011.
Okay.
And in November 2011,
the
jury finds him guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Okay.
He's taken into custody without bail.
Right.
And then later that month, he receives the maximum sentence of 4 years in prison.
Okay.
However, because of overcrowding and good behavior, he's actually released.
Wow.
In October 2013.
So he only served a couple of years.
Less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So stepping back a little bit from all that, Jackson's health was kind of a question mark.
Right.
Biographers said he was frail.
Yeah.
An underweight, history of addiction to painkillers.
Yeah.
And his dermatologist, Arnold Klein, diagnoses him with vitiligo and lupus.
Right.
But he also says that 3 days before his death, Jackson was in very good physical condition.
Oh, wow.
And even recalls him dancing for patients in the office.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
So the family's reaction, of course, is shock and devastation.
Of course, yeah.
But LaToya Jackson goes a little further and says she believes that he was murdered for his music catalog.
Oh, wow.
And the family also had questions about AG Live's role.
Right.
Joe Jackson actually files a complaint with the California Medical Board accusing AG Live of illegally practicing medicine.
Oh, wow.
And he says they pressured Murray to wean Michael off drugs too quickly and didn't provide the proper resuscitation equipment and a trained nurse.
Oh, wow.
And Joe Jackson later dropped his wrongful death suit against Murray.
Right.
But the family was generally happy with the guilty verdict in the criminal case.
Yeah.
And then years later in 2017, Paris Jackson also says she believes he was murdered.
Oh, wow.
And then there's this whole legal battle with AG.
Yeah.
His kids and his mother, Catherine, sue AGG in 2010 for negligently hiring Murray.
Right.
But AEG is actually found not negligent in 2013.
Right.
So then his will is filed on July 1st, 2009.
Okay.
And it names John Branca and John McClane as executors.
Okay.
And all the assets go into the Michael Jackson Family Trust.
Right.
And reports in 2007 estimated his net worth at around $236.6 million, which included his stake in Sony ATV Music Publishing.
That's great.
And his will says his mother, Catherine, should have guardianship of his children.
Yeah.
Or, if she can't do it, Diana Ross.
Okay.
And he also allocates 20% of his fortune.
Yeah.
And any post-death earnings to charities.
Okay.
So it's a complex estate.
Yeah.
You know, it was expected to be a long, drawn-out process.
Yeah.
His share of Sony ATV Music Publishing was estimated at like $750 million.
Wow.
And then in 2016, they finalized a deal for Sony to buy that share for $750 million.
Right.
So public reaction, huge.
Global phenomenon.
It was massive.
Yeah.
TMZ breaks the news, and it spread so fast online that websites start to slow down.
Oh, wow.
And crash. TMZ itself, Los Angeles Times, Twitter, Wikipedia, AOL Instant Messenger.
Wow.
Google even said they thought they were under a cyber attack.
Oh, wow.
Because of all the searches.
Wow.
And so Wikipedia says there's this unprecedented traffic to Jackson's bio page.
Right.
Almost 1 million visitors in an hour.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is probably a record at that time.
Yeah.
And then something like 15% of all Twitter posts at that moment mentioned Michael Jackson.
Huge.
And then MTV and BT start airing marathons of his videos.
Yeah.
TV specials pop up.
Of course.
Magazine commemorative editions all over the world.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
It was everywhere.
It was massive.
Yeah.
And the film Bruno actually cut a scene with LaToya Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Out of respect.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Global Language Monitor said that this was one of the top news stories globally.
Yeah, of course.
And commentators talked about, you know, what a tragic figure he had become.
Yeah.
But it's not all positive.
Right.
The Pew Research Center actually did a survey and found that most Americans felt the media coverage was a little much.
Okay.
A little excessive.
Yeah.
And the BBC actually got hundreds of complaints from viewers who said it was disproportionate.
Right.
And then you have conservative commentators like Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly criticizing all the attention.
Interesting.
And even Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela at the time, criticized CNN for focusing on this so much compared to like the Honduran coup d'etat that was happening.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
So there was also a report that the Jackson family had actually paid a social media marketing company to increase his Twitter followers.
Interesting.
So it's not all
all organic.
Not organic, completely organic.
Yeah.
But beyond all that, the outpouring of grief from fans was massive.
Yeah.
I mean, people were gathering at the UCLA Medical Center, Neverland Ranch,
of course,
his family homes, the Apollo Theater, Hitsville, USA.
Yeah, all the places that were
all these places that were important to him.
Right.
And in Gary, Indiana, they blocked off streets, flags at half-staff.
Yeah.
And there was this initial confusion in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because people were gathering at the wrong star on the Walk of Fame.
For another Michael Jackson?
Yeah, for a different Michael Jackson.
Right. So it's easy to do.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
So memorial gatherings all over the world.
Yeah.
Barack Obama issues a statement.
Right.
Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
Elizabeth Taylor, a longtime friend, expresses her devastation.
Yeah.
LaToya also says that her daughter had said that Michael was being overworked.
Oh, no.
So the tributes start pouring in.
Yeah.
Madonna, on her Sticky and Sweet tour, does a medley of his songs.
Oh, wow.
U2 dedicates Angel of Harlem to him.
Okay.
Bono sings excerpts from Jackson's songs.
Cool.
A huge musical tribute in Gary, Indiana, with a memorial unveiled.
Right.
The rapper The Game releases a tribute song called Better on the Other Side.
Yeah.
With all these different artists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 50 Cent, LL Cool J.
Right.
Robbie Williams, Akon.
Yeah.
Buckethead, all give tributes.
Cool.
And then at Glastonbury in the UK, Lily Allen wears a single white glove.
Oh, yeah.
And the streets cover Billie Jean.
Nice.
Beyoncé dedicates Halo to Jackson during her tour.
Wow.
Coldplay covers Billie Jean at some of their shows.
Okay.
And then even metal and hard rock bands.
Oh, really?
Like Metallica, Chris Cornell, Steve Vai,
that's cool.
Extreme, CKY. They all pay tribute.
Yeah.
And Buckethead even writes a song called The Homing Beacon, which he says was inspired by Captain EO.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So many different rock musicians issue statements.
Yeah.
And there's this whole tribute album.
Oh, really?
Released in 2013.
Wow.
With members of all these different bands.
Yeah.
LaToya Jackson re-releases her song, Home.
Okay.
As a charity single.
Okay, cool.
And then the Beat D Awards.
Yeah.
In June 2009, do a big tribute.
Yeah.
Rio de Janeiro says they're going to put up a statue.
Oh, wow.
In the favela of Dona Marta.
Right, where he filmed the video.
Yeah. And then memorials all over the world.
Right.
The Simpsons broadcasts the Do the Bartman video with a tribute card.
Oh, cool.
They re-air the Stark Raving Dad episode.
Yeah.
The Wiz is re-released in some cities.
Okay.
And then Madonna opens the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards talking about Jackson. And Janet Jackson does a tribute performance.
Yeah.
And he gets this posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow.
At the Grammys.
Yeah.
And he's in the Academy Awards in memoriam.
Of course, yeah.
So his record sales go through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, HMV says it's an 80-fold increase by June 29th.
Oh, my goodness.
Amazon says they sold out of all his CDs.
Right.
And Jackson 5 CDs.